Okie dokie. Hello there, people. Welcome to this last episode of this special series, Boardroom Banter with Community Champions. I'm Community Champion Patricia Hayes. And my colleague here is Danielle Cade. And we have been so excited to share with you all our insights on being both a board member and serving from the governing perspective, and as an executive director who services organizations, that's Danielle, and using that to kind of really give some highlights to people as they're moving forward with their decisions to, serve on your local nonprofit boards, your professional association boards, and kind of giving you some insight on what it requires, what the needs are, what the challenges are, and how that can be helpful to you. So this is episode number 4. And we are talking about the why of nonprofit service today, which is why engage at all, especially after all the things we just finished talking about. Right, Danielle?
Oh my goodness, we painted quite a pretty picture. We did, but we just wanted you guys to know all of the bad things so that you would be you have a full picture of it, because really it is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
To volunteer your time, your energy, your resources in whatever capacity. If you have 2 hours a month, that there's an organization that can do something with that. So being able to give that to that organization, and oftentimes even more, is wonderful, and it can really be really beneficial to you. So I think one way to get into this would be to discuss the difference between a passion-based board and a professional-based board. Mm-hmm. So when people think of nonprofits, especially if they're not volunteering currently for a nonprofit, I think typically they go straight to charitable boards. Yeah. So they're thinking of people who are really trying to change the world in a good way, by doing something that's community-based, or something for health reasons, something to correct an injustice in the world, something of that matter. Those boards, they're also volunteer boards. There's a lot of different sizes in them. So a lot of times people can think of something as large as like the American Heart Association, huge. They might not realize that there could also be smaller organizations in your city, your state, that have a similar mission, but it's just different enough that they are their own separate organization. So that to me is more of a passion-based board. Usually people will volunteer on that because they've been touched personally, or they know someone who's been personally touched by something that gives them that passion to want to see it erased or see it grow even more. And then there's a professional-based board. And so, for almost any profession you might have, it's kind of amazing. There is a nonprofit association that is made to serve your particular profession. And it can be super niche, like it's amazing. So those are also volunteer-led boards. And most of the time people are doing that because they can certainly be very passionate about their career, or they want to network. They're excellent networking opportunities. Really, both boards are excellent networking opportunities. And it can also look good on their resume. Why volunteering? It's really taking that into consideration. Is there something that you're passionate about, be it career-based or be it something that touches your heart? And if there is something that's both, great. There's also no limit to the amount of boards you can serve on. The limit is what your capacity is. So if you want to do a little bit of both, hey, that's no problem. I'm sure they'll take you.
Yeah, you're kind of telling my story there. That's always been my thing. I always had to like limit. I mean, I literally go into it. So just so people know like how off the chain I really am when it comes to this, I've always been committed to serving and doing volunteer work. And then when I came off of doing trying to say, okay, I'm going to get started in my profession. What am I going to be doing? I literally had this whole little plan where I would be doing uh, uh, I would choose a professional board. I would choose a charitable board that I would serve on. And then I would choose one, because of maybe some relationships, connections or something. And then I would choose one that minimally, it was just like, it has no other like quote rationale other than it's something I truly, truly care about, whether it's an issue, it's supported, and that I'm going to be there for that, right? So I'm a lawyer by training. I have served on my professional association boards as a young lawyer, as an older lawyer, all of these things, and been asked to serve on other nonprofit boards in the city because people know my experience. And then there are ones that I chose and like they could ask me on a moment's notice to do something and I will do it because I feel that strongly about the mission and things that they're doing. I'm thinking about one of the boards that I was on for a very long time. I'm not on it now, but literally if they called me tomorrow, I would say yes. Probably shouldn't, but I would say yes because I do have other commitments right now. And that's like one that deals with child abuse prevention, right? So there is a huge, vast interest and array, and you as one person can do, as Danielle said, as much as you have the capacity to do, and for whatever those reasons you are. But being of service in your community is something that, a lot of people feel strongly about. And we're talking about this in these professional ways, but think about it. Your booster club, the high school booster club, like I'm on that for my son, right? These things come up a lot of times. They come up as you go through life, right? The shifts and the interests come up as you go through life, right? So some of the boards you might serve on while you're single and ready to go and out there and get started in that career might shift after you get married, after you get 5-10 years into your career. And then also as if you have kids, like all of these things, because so many of the things I've served on did shift and become more so as I have two, they're not kids anymore, but they're my kids.
They're your babies.
They're still my babies, high school, almost high school grad, almost college grad. But literally some of the boards that I serve on now is because I started serving as a volunteer with them when they were little. One of them I think right now is like the Girl Scouts. My daughter was a Girl Scout for 13 years. And I, did volunteer work all throughout there, got involved at the local board level. And then I knew that I still wanted to be involved long after she was. And so now I'm on the Central Texas Girl Scout board, and my daughter is long gone from Girl Scouts, but I'm still committed to, girl empowerment, women's issues, and all of those things. So there's a way to incorporate those things. It's just a matter of recognizing where you are at that point in life. What is it that you want, from that board? What do you want to contribute to that organization, to that board? So it's a two-way street, right? What can you get from it? What can you give to it? And honor those things as you move along. Because, I will tell you, board service is a fantastic way to get professional skill development. I tell this to a lot of young professionals when they come to me and they're like, what do I need to do? How can I do it? I'm like, hey, if you want to learn another skill and that you can't get while in your regular, 9 to 5, doing community service on a board and starting at the committee level is like literally the best way to do that, right? I mean, I gained expertise in fund development, and I have never had a fund development job in my life. And I was like, all of a sudden I started getting recruited to boards because of fund development things. I'm like, wait. I was like, hold up on that. Since when did I become a fundraiser? But it was because I contributed my ability to think innovatively out of the box using whatever you have currently, and to say, well, what if we did this? How about if you do that? Like whatever those skills you can develop for yourself. And I know people like Danielle always look forward to having some fresh board members with fresh ideas to help contribute. in
Oh,
ways like
yeah,
that.
absolutely. I know we discussed before that the most healthiest board, ideally, you're going to have a mix of old and new
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the board members. So, yes, and depending on the board, not all of them are the best at recruiting new members.
This is true.
So, yeah, anytime we can get someone who's also passionate and also has the capacity and also, has a vision for the board, like that's great. We're all over it. And then I loved that you brought up your experience in the Girl Scouts because all I can think was your time has, like, I'm sure that the capacity that you had has changed over when your daughter was in it versus now. I'm sure that your focus while your daughter was in it over now has changed, and that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
is all of it's great. You came in probably super zealous, wanted to help your daughter, and now you're lending your expertise to it. Both of those are necessary, and they're necessary on either board. I've worked with both professional and passion-based boards. They're all wonderful to work with, when they're healthy. And it's just amazing to see. It's also great because we had a board member who we recently sent a plaque to because we realized he had served 3 different terms, meaning this particular organization, their terms were 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And then he had to be off for 3
Right.
years before you can restart again. So he was on and off, on and off, on and off. And for each of those times, he's kind of a legend because at each point in time, he was able to give something different to that organization based on where he was in life.
Yes.
And the organization benefited from it.
Yes. Yeah. I've been in that position where they're like, so we're going to modify the bylaws so that we can get you to stay on a little bit longer. I will never forget that. That was one of the boards I cared greatly about. And it was myself and another person because they realized that once the 2 of us rolled off, they were going to lose all the institutional knowledge, right? Because there had been so much turnover. So these are the things but guess what? It's a great thing to be wanted, to be recognized that you have contributed in a way that they actually want you to stick around, and you have to tell them, no, it's time for me to go. I've had to do that a few times. I love y'all to death, but it's time for me to go. I will come to the events. I will give you money. I'll do some other things, but it's time to bring someone else on the board. But that means you've developed some fantastic relationships. And y'all, anyone who knows me, you follow my stuff, I'm all about authentic networking and building solid, sustainable professional relationships. And board service is one of the best ways to do that. There are literally people in my network and that I engage with now is because we met serving on a board years ago. And here we are still, connecting up with each other, sharing information, referring people or things or opportunities to each other. So it's also and this has nothing to do with whether it's a passion charitable board or a professional board. It happens from both. Right. There are people now that I served on. I'm thinking about when I was on the Young Lawyer Board, and now a couple of my, dear friends and colleagues, we go to book festivals together. I mean, we do stuff that has nothing to do with the practice of law because we've become friends. Right. I get, loyal referrals from her. She sends me information about this. So, the opportunity to build really strong relationships is so crucial. And this is a great way to do it because you're doing work together on something you both have a common interest in. And that makes it easier to build that relationship that's going to last beyond tomorrow or next year. And that's why, I always say, building relationships and networking is not really as hard as people make it out to be if you do it from a space of being authentic. And board service is absolutely a way to do that because you're already coming into it with a common interest, which is fulfilling the mission of the organization that you're serving on.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head there. You already have that common interest, and that really is one of the most difficult things to figure out. That's why there's so many niche networking events now, because they're trying to find people with that common interest. So if you serve on the board, that really is you taking that common interest to the next level. And then you're able to, make friends, make contacts. The amount of people who reach out to my boards for referrals is kind of amazing. Hey, we need someone who is an expert in this.
Yes.
The amount of people who our boards have referred to as speakers, that gives them, because we wanted a speaker on a certain topic in our organization. So our board members were able to give referrals, and the speakers came, blew the audience away, and now those speakers have some really good leads. All these are things that you just don't always think about, in my mind, when you're thinking of board service, but they are benefits. And like you said, just those friendships that last. I personally have one organization who I have loved every single president that I have worked with. I have all of their numbers on my cell phone, and it's great. There's one past president who every time they come to a meeting, they're like, okay, I'm ready for like a reunion happy hour. Let's go.
Yeah.
So it's a really great opportunity to tap into, despite all the challenges that it can pose. It really is great if you're looking at it from a professional standpoint, if you're looking at it from a personal standpoint, if you're looking at it from, worldwide standpoint. All of those would work well in board service.
Yes, no, for sure. And here's the thing. Ultimately, the point is, you can do things for various reasons, because your job requires it or because your kid's involved, but it boils down to this. Ultimately, you want to engage those things that you care about, and that that down the road, it doesn't always show up right away, but down the road, it's going to be a benefit to the organization. You can lead other people to the organization. You can be led to other organizations. That is very common, because once you show up as a good board member and show that you're committed, guess what? Your name gets out there and people will come to you. I am telling you, it happens.
Sure.
They will come looking for you, because having good board members, people assume it's not an easy thing. There are not a lot of people who are, number one, willing to provide the service to do the work, right? Even if it's not a working board, if it's a higher level, you're doing a lot of the strategic, planning and governance of the board. Guess what? It still requires time and commitment. And once you have people that are out there that have been willing to provide that time and that commitment, your name gets out there, and they will come looking for you.
People who follow through on what they say they're going to do can be a little hard to find. I mean, think of it this way. A lot of time, there was one speaker who I commented on what a pleasure it is working with his staff. And he was like, yeah, my staff is great. It's really amazing, because what they do is they answer emails in a timely manner. And that makes such a difference. Right. And I mean, of course, there were other aspects of it too, but that was one of the biggest ones. And it's amazing. You make a note of that. You make a note of when a board member, leads by example, when a board member follows through, of when a board member is good at managing what could be confrontational situations.
Yes.
You make note of when a board member has great ideas and knows how to delegate.
Yes. I'm thinking of a couple of times when I was approached and they were like, I'm like, why are you asking me? They're like, well, we need someone who's going to ask questions. I'm like, uh-oh. I was like, I knew that was code for there are some problems here, and we need someone who's able to stand up well against that. Luckily, all of my boards, service was not on those things, but that's one of those things that I became known for, of being able to get in there, get some questions answered, and be able to strike up a new path if that's what was needed, as well as hey, we just need someone who, like you said, is going to show up and follow through
Yeah.
on the word, what they're going to do,
Mhm.
because everybody doesn't do that. So I have loved this series. This has been so much fun. I'm looking forward to kind of seeing where this goes. Maybe we do a specialty one here or there and come up, but we would love, love, love to get your input, to have, get your thoughts. We will answer. We're on all the socials, so I'm not going to name them all. I think they're all going to be in the caption, or wherever you're watching this, just, click the comments below or DM either one of us, and you can reach out to us as well via our websites. All of that information is going to be in the notes. And Danielle, anything else? I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I don't know. We've covered so much.
We've covered so much. It's really just been so much fun unpacking some of this with you, Patty. And like Patty mentioned, if you guys are interested in hearing more, it was really hard for us to, we didn't keep this on time, I should say.
We kept it on track.
You're right. So if there's something in particular that you want to know more about, just as Patty said, feel free to put it in the comments. You know what? We're in an age of communication. You know how to reach out to us, and we're happy to listen.
For sure. So thank you once again for joining us for Boardroom Banter with community champions Patricia and Danielle. And we look forward to following up with you again soon. Let us hear from you. Take care, everyone, and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.